Good afternoon here. This is Jacob here with another episode of the Let's Get to Business podcast. I wanted to share a little bit on Facebook Live as I did this. I'll talk a little bit about escaping escapism. And I talk a little bit about from personal experience because I think it's really easy to kind of fall into the trap of escaping, falling into, like, if you're stressed out or, if you got, you're really, really busy. To do things that are, escapism activities instead of performance-based activities or things that would, deal with the stress or deal with the pressure. And I talk a little bit about it partly because I find that I have to watch out for that myself. And in America today, there's so many different types of ways for the constant distractions and things that come in and distract us from the really important things in life. There's just literally millions of different types of distractions. And especially amusement-based activities. Everything from video games to, going to the movies or whatever. And not that some of those things are not all right. I think we have to be very careful that we don't get addicted to escaping reality instead of dealing with reality. The Bible talks about he that loveth pleasures over much shall not be a rich man. And I think that comes right into this. Now, in order to kind of overcome that, in order to get away from that, I think that we have to be diligent. We have to be disciplined. We have to find ways to be disciplined. It takes both discipline and intentionality to not fall into the trap of those constant distractions, those constant little things that we do to escape from it's kind of like a little bit of an escapism mentality. We escape from reality to because social media is a big one. I mean, like, I know that I'm not that big of a social media person, but I could easily get into the trap of, like, spending a massive amount of time on social media. There's TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and there's so many different ones. And I just think it's very important we understand that these constant distractions are choking the seed of the fruit of our life. And I love how it talks about it it actually talks about it in Matthew 13. It says, it was talking about the parable of the sower, the different seeds, and, some of the seeds fell on the hard ground, some of the seeds fell in the thorns grew up and choked it, and some of the seeds, the birds carried it away, and there's so many different things. But what I want to talk mostly about is, now, this could also kind of get into the birds, like the little things that come and they steal away the seed that was planted in our heart. Those little activities or distractions can sometimes steal the things that were planted in our hearts, the ideas, the inspiration, the energy. Those can all be stolen by those little distractions. But I want to talk a little bit about the thorns. It says in Matthew chapter 13, verse 22, he says, he that received the seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. Now, I want to point that out, the care of this world, like the little cares, like there's just the little niggling little things that are just like bothering you, these little distractions, these constant little things. If we allow the things to grow up, it will literally choke what we have been given. It'll choke our life. It'll choke the potential. It'll choke the fruit that has been planted. It'll choke that seed that has been planted in our life. The little actions that we're doing to move forward in life, those little things that those tend to choke out the fruitfulness of that life, and it becomes unfruitful. So I think this is something we got to really watch. Now, in order to kind of get over that, I think that we need a plan. We need a system, and I'm talking from personal experience because it is easy for me to fall into the trap of escapism. Instead of working on, business things, it's easy to, let's go check my emails. Let's go check to see what kind of comments I got on Facebook, or let's see, I need to go brew me another cup of coffee. But it's 1,000 little things. Or, if you're traveling or something, rather than spending productive time, listen to an audiobook that helps you in your business, or most of the business, it's easy to, watch a movie and not that some of that stuff isn't all right. It's just that I think that we have to understand that we have to be careful because these little distractions they want to crop up and they want to steal our crop. If we plant a crop of corn and we go out and we plant the seed, and we want to have a productive crop. Guess what we're doing? We're spraying the weeds, we're killing the weeds, we are cultivating, whatever, depending on the type of crop and how it's produced and what the options are to deal with those pests like that. We spray pesticide. We do anything we can to protect our crop, and we want that fruit to continue to grow. And I think it's the same way in our own life. It's like, what do we do to protect our crop? What do we do to protect the fruitfulness? What do we do to protect the seed and the potential that we have that has started in our life? What is the crop that we have planted that is growing in our life, in our future? What are we doing to protect that crop? And I think that one of those ways is being disciplined. And Proverbs 22 is just being intentional and being disciplined. Because in Proverbs 22:29 it says, "Seest thou a man diligent in his business, he shall stand before kings, he shall not stand before men." Now, the diligence, your discipline, that is how he gets. That's what creates greatness in your life. Is the discipline. There is no chance of greatness without discipline. And people may argue about that, but see, God would not be a great God if he was back and forth. Like if he was not consistent. It says that God, his word is the same yesterday and today and forever. See, God is always the same. The very act of being disciplined, that's the very essence of who God is he's the same. Now we as human beings, I think that we have to be disciplined. We have to be willing to learn, and we have to be willing to grow, and that has to be part of our discipline. Because if we don't grow, we are dying. Another one is Proverbs verse 4:23 says, "Keep the heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." Now, one thing that I want to point out here is that it says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." In other words, keep your heart with all discipline, for out of it are the issues of life. The discipline, like the heart, like our heart. And it says, "Keep thy heart." You know what I mean? It doesn't say. So it's saying you got to be intentional about this. We have to choose this. We have to say this is how it's going to be. We have to choose that this is the path that we are going to take. And it also talks in another place. I actually didn't write that down. It talks about keep the heart with all diligence. No, not that. It says, but there's another place where it talks about like we have to set our heart. We have to choose the path of our heart. It talks a little bit more about Proverbs. I apologize. I shouldn't even brought that up if I didn't remember the verse there. But it does talk about it elsewhere about the importance of, we get to choose the path that our heart will travel. We have to guard our heart. We have to put it in the way that we want it to go. And I think that is one of the most important things about discipline. Discipline and being intentional is they kind of work together. They work is completely like if they got they sync together. They got very close relationship, like being intentional and being disciplined. Now I think that we all have habits in our life. Habits are a direct result of discipline. But not all habits come from discipline. Some habits come from a lack of discipline. So I think it's very careful that we look at the habits that we have and we say, the discipline, are those come from a discipline or are those coming from a lack of discipline? Because if they come from a lack of discipline, they will eventually destroy you. They will hurt you. They will do bad things to you. Another one that I love is Colossians 3 verse 23. It says, "And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men." And, I spoke with Rod Livesey about this, and I asked him, I said, so, you're still, you work hard, and even if you wouldn't have to work so hard, you work so incredibly hard. And I just kind of asked him, I was like, what is that driving? Like, what's the drive that keeps you going? And he pointed to this verse, and he said, "Whatsoever you do, do heartily as to the Lord and not unto men." And to me, like, I just love that. I love that. It's very simple, but it's a very straightforward mission. Like, it's like, you do it heartily as unto the Lord. Like we put our whole heart into it. We do everything we can to continue to go. We put our heart into it. And I think that when it comes to discipline, I think that we have to put our heart into it. We can say, where do I want to go in life? You know, what is my mission in life? Where do I want to see myself in 10 years? Where do I want to see myself in 20 years? And then we have to choose to do those things and push forward. So anyway, I could just talk endlessly about this because I think this is such an incredibly important subject, because I think it's very difficult to accomplish anything significant without discipline. All I know is what it's done for myself and my own life. And it has just been such an incredible journey for myself. And one of my favorite disciplines is I read the Bible a lot. I mean, I read 5 to 10 chapters a day every morning. That's the first thing I do when I get out of bed. And the very first thing that I notice I would read the Bible before then. I would even read the Bible. I've been doing this for about 4 years now. But before that, I used to read my Bible. I did read my Bible every day. And it would occasionally, you'd miss a day, or you'd only read one chapter a day, or part of a chapter, or whatever. And not that that's not all right. You have to figure out what the discipline is that you choose to do so. However, I chose that I'm going to study the Bible. I'm going to spend time. I'm going to read more. I'm not just going to read one chapter. And it's become such a habit for me to read 5 to 10 chapters a day that I don't even think about it. Like, it's just something that I do. And it took about 6 months, and I started noticing that I started knowing a lot of scripture. Like, I started thinking of a lot of scripture. Like, scripture is given for inspiration. Like, it's given for inspiration and motivation, and it's basically life. It's like a life. How would I say it? Scripture was given like it's a playbook to live life. It's a playbook, and it tells us how to live intentionally, the things that we should focus on, and the places and the things we need to grow on. So I think it's very important that we do read the Bible a lot. But after a year, I started really knowing a lot of scripture, and after 2 years, it was just amazing. And it's to the point now where it doesn't matter what thing that goes on. Like, any situation in life, I can think of a scripture verse that would apply to that situation. And I think that comes from consistently, reading the Bible and like studying it and like absorbing it into my life, because there's so much wisdom in the Bible. There's such an incredible wealth of wisdom, because I believe that the Bible was written for our benefit. It was written for, it's just such an incredible, amount of wisdom in there. So anyway, hope you guys are having an incredible day. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys were inspired, and hopefully we'll talk with you guys next time. Take care.